Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unleash Your Inner Badass. In case we're meeting for the first time, we're the Beach Boss influencers. We're missing one. It's her birthday, so she's not
Happy
going to be joining
birthday,
us. Happy birthday,
Adrian!
Adrian. Everybody help us sing Adrian a song. We're going to sing for you. No, I'm just kidding. We're not singing.
We're not singing. But wish her a happy birthday. She's amazing. So wish her a happy birthday. We love her to bits. So please join us.
Yes, and if we're meeting for the first time, we're the Beaches. We are the founders of Beach Boss Influencers. We help network marketers and other home-based entrepreneurs grow their businesses and make more in less time using systems, automation, social media, all that jazz. And we love going live every Thursday around the same time where we actually dive deep into helping you shift your mindset. Today, we're going to be diving into self-sabotage. I don't think it's a topic that we've covered yet, and yet it's something that we see constantly inside our own community. And what's funny is yesterday inside one of the mentorship programs that we're in, there was somebody else in a completely different industry that they're like, I've noticed that this is like a recurring theme inside my community. What tips, tricks, everything do you have for me, right? So we're gonna hash it out and talk about it today. And I'm gonna start out by saying but first I want to ask you a question. Those of you who are joining us that are live with us tomorrow, and if you're not, or today, and if you're not live, maybe you're watching this on replay, let us know that you're watching replay. Let us know if you're joining us live. Let us know if you're new. We'd love to welcome you to our community. But I also want to know, have you dealt with self-sabotage? Do you recognize self-sabotage when it's about to happen? Because some people think, oh, I've self-sabotaged again. And what we've found, especially in our community, is it's a cycle that people go through. It's a cycle that every single one of us beaches have been in ourselves until we learn to think differently about it. And we want to
sometimes we still do it.
And sometimes we
we
still
know
do it.
how and where and when to be aware and how to get ourselves out of it.
Yes. And usually, and what I love about that there's 5 beaches, usually it's like a beach recognizes when another beach is falling into it, and we're able to like shift each other out of it very quickly. But that wasn't always the case. So let us know if you've dealt with it. Let us know if maybe you're falling into it right now. And we'll share some stories and also kind of give you some tips and hacks on how to recognize it's happening and then shift yourself out of it quickly. So,
yeah.
I have one quick thing. Spoiler alert. Everyone has done that.
yes.
Every single person has done it.
Whether you know it or not, you've done it.
Majority of people are not aware that that's what they're doing. So if you are aware, you're ahead of probably 90% of people. So give yourself a pat in the back. If you're aware that you're self-sabotaging, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah. But so let me like start. I'm going to be like vulnerable and like share when I know that I'm falling into it. And it's more than just awareness. Like you have to actually notice that you're aware. That's the first thing, because sometimes we're aware that it's happening, but we're not noticing that we're even aware. So we can't put process in place.
Yeah, we're like, oh, what's happening? Something's happening, but
so
I don't know. Yeah.
Yep. For me, I start to feel overwhelmed and then I procrastinate. That's my loop that I fall into. I'm overwhelmed, I procrastinate, and because I'm procrastinating and not getting shit done, the overwhelm gets bigger. And then I procrastinate more because I'm like, I don't know where I'm even going to start. And then it's a spiral down and then nothing gets done.
And that you felt that same way. And you're just now going, holy crap, this totally makes sense.
Yeah. But that's my loop. And sometimes it's happening. And like I said, I'm like aware that it's happening, but I'm not noticing that it's aware to actually like
do it.
Use like the process that I've already put in place, and it takes time. I'm a lot faster now, but back when I was like first starting growing my network marketing business, especially when it came to doing the reach outs, right? I was taught by the uplines, just like everybody else, right? You make your list, you go through your list. I would get very overwhelmed because it was like, who do I call first? ADD started happening, and I would start doing anything and everything but
calling them.
And then because I was procrastinating, I'd feel overwhelmed, feel like, man, maybe I'm not cut out to do this. In my brain, I was constantly working my business, but what I was actually doing was procrastinating working my business. I was thinking about my business, not actually taking action, wasn't getting results. Then I'd look at my list, overwhelm, procrastination, and it was a continual cycle. So what is it in your life? Like, think about yourself. Think about, because you'll start to notice, and you'll start to become aware that you have a cycle. And what this is it's your brain keeping you safe. Yeah. So when we think back to like, it's in every single one of us, where our brains, we were running from dinosaurs, we were running from saber-toothed tigers, right? Like, we were trained, and it's inundated in the human race to keep ourselves safe.
Run from danger.
The problem is our brains get safety and comfort mixed up. We look at that thing that's going to make us uncomfortable, and our brain shouts, don't do it, you will die, right? And so we stay stuck in our bullshit. Let's call it as it is, right? We stay stuck in our shit, and then it gets bigger. And then it gets bigger because we sit there and we think about it instead of just actually taking action on it. So what is it in your business that you are procrastinating doing? Is it going live? Maybe it's doing a reach out of somebody that you're like, I know that this person, if I were to share this with them, like, they would be so mad if I were successful and I didn't share it. But we feel weird and awkward.
Scared of the rejection in case they say no.
Scared of the rejection in case they say no, and so we don't do it, and it starts getting bigger, and it starts getting bigger, and it starts getting bigger. And because the overwhelm around it is so big, we just continue procrastinating, and then we end up quitting.
And not only that, that happens with, the overwhelm and the procrastination, but then you start down the spiral of the judgment. Oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. Like, what if they say no? I suck at this. Like, there's no way they're ever going to, you build this huge story in your mind, right? And so it's like this tornado that just is like going in your mind, and it really can cause you to quit quickly in anything that you're doing. And going on the opposite of what Carrie's talking about, like the overwhelm and like going to procrastination, one of my loops is that I just work harder, right?
Yep.
Do more and more and more and more and more. And I'll just like, I'm that A personality that will go through a brick wall to get what I want. And guess what happens? I burn out, and then I'm like, F this, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I quit, right? So you can be on two sides of this deal, and you can have both. I actually do both. Yeah.
All of the speeches actually experience both all the time.
So procrastinate. When I find myself doing laundry, I have to ask myself, okay, what am I trying to avoid? Right? Because if I'm doing laundry on a Monday instead of a Thursday, there's a problem, right? Like, it's that schedule. The laundry gets done on Thursday, right? So once you are aware, like Carrie's saying, then you want to put a process in play where you can be like, oh, okay, like, I see this loop happening, right? And this happens with me in the working. And then what happens is I'll burn out and quit. So you have to put processes in play. You're like, okay, I only work this amount of hours every day. I have these days off, right? So you put these processes in place so that you can catch that loop that you end up in. So what other things do people find themselves in? Yeah. Do you have one you want to share?
So yeah, when I feel like I'm not worthy, like I'm not good enough, like I can't do this, who the hell am I to be doing this? I'm a nobody. When I start to feel those feelings, and it's happened multiple times in the past, I feel complete overwhelm. Okay. I literally shut down. I don't do anything because I don't feel like I can. And so I find myself sort of sitting staring at the screen. I find myself looking at a book. I find myself watching a training. I find myself looking at a task that I have to do, and I can't do it. I literally can't take action. I can't. I freeze. I freeze. I completely freeze. And so, yeah, for me, you know, I'm aware that this happens, and it happens multiple times, and it keeps happening. And every time the imposter syndrome kicks in, every time, we level up as a business, it kicks in again. I'll be honest with you, it kicks in. And it happens to me. And I know for me, the way that I get out of it is by, okay, I know it happens. I know it happens. And like, okay, right, this has happened. For me, it's meditation. I have to go, I shut down, close the laptop down, I leave everything, put my headphones on, put my blindfold on, and I go meditate. If I have 5 minutes to do it, I will go and do it. If it means that I've meditated 5 times already that day, I will go and do it again. And it's doing that one action, whatever that action is for you, whether it is go out for a run, whether it is you go for a walk, whether it is you're going to dance and sing. Okay, whether you're going to put a video on and you're going to start singing and dancing and just lifting your energy. For me, it's okay. I just need to calm my brain. I need to calm down because I get into such a panic. I get into a complete panic. Like you can hear it now. Like, I know what happens to me.
And how many of you have felt this way and you just didn't realize what was happening?
You didn't know how to name and label it, right?
Yeah. You just thought you're different than everybody else or something's wrong with you, but it's not. Everybody has
completely normal. And we all have different ways of, it manifests differently for everyone. And so it's recognized. Sorry, Carrie.
No, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No. Yeah, carry on.
I was just going to say, I love someone, getting vulnerable here. Like I sabotage my business because I deal with perfectionism. I deceive myself to believe it has to be perfect or it won't work. So I never get started. And when you start to name and label what the root cause of perfectionism is, it stems from fear of judgment, fear of success, or fear of failure.
Yeah.
And fear of failure and fear of judgment usually go hand in hand. And a lot of times fear of success and fear of judgment go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So when we start to be able to name and label whatever that thing is that causes us to self-sabotage, first off, when we can name and label it, it makes it less scary for our brain, right? And here's the thing, you're going to have to be courageous when it comes to working through these things. You're going to have to convince by physically saying out loud, that's my perfectionism. And it stems from something that happened in my past that caused fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success, name and label whatever that thing is. And then say, it's not true. Because it's not. It's a story that our brains has made up because of a past experience to keep us safe. When really, safety and comfort are two different things. Yes, it might be uncomfortable working through it, but we're going to be brave. We're going to put our big girl panties on, and we're going to walk through it. Go ahead, Fran.
It's something that I totally can relate to perfectionism. Someone also said self-doubt. So all of these things, it's our safety mechanism. Procrastination, self-doubt, fear of judgment, fear of failure, perfectionism. All those things, they actually serve our ego. Our ego always wants to be right and always wants to look good. So when we recognize those fears, right, or uncomfortable feelings, that's what they're all about. And ego is not the bad guy, actually. Ego helped us to survive back in, when we were running from dinosaurs and now. So it's a safety mechanism and we can't live without it. So ego will be there, always wanting you to be right and to look good. But when we let those emotions control our decisions, control our actions, that's when we're in trouble, right? Because if you fall into perfectionism and the fear of judgment, you're not going to take that action, right? Because you're afraid of something, or just don't want to feel uncomfortable. So instead, we're still going to feel those emotions because we're humans. We can't avoid them, we can't ignore them. And that's actually our purpose on this planet, to be human and feel all of it, not just joy and excitement and love, right? Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? We all would be like sitting in Zen 24/7. But it's not why we're here, right? We're here to feel all of those emotions. So what I'm trying to tell you, when you're going to feel it again, and this will happen, and it happens to us and it happens to everyone, once you're aware of what it is, right? And just acknowledge it. Oh, it's just my self-defense mechanism or my survival mechanism kicks in. Be grateful for it, right? That's just part of being human. You're alive. You feel those things. You're being alive. But don't let those fears dictate your actions and your decisions. You have to be in control and say, hey, I know what you're doing here. I appreciate it, but I got you. I'm in control now. I'm going to feel the fear and I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to feel like it's not perfectly done, but I'm going to do it anyways, right? I'm going to put it out anyways. So this is kind of like how I look at it right now. And oh boy, we fall into this self-sabotaging thing all the time, right? But being aware is the huge step ahead of the game, and acknowledging it, not with like, oh, here I go again, blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh, I'm being human again. How cool is that, right? and just taking control into your hands instead of letting those fears control you. I hope that makes sense for you guys.
Yeah,
And
definitely makes sense.
So I don't know who this is, but fear of judgment, fear of success. I can't talk. Fear of success, fear of failure. Oh my God, thank you. Be courageous when it comes through walking through these things. I love that info. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
this one here.
sorry.
Know what you're normal, right? I think that's the key. Knowing that you're normal. Like this happens
Yes.
to every human being, no matter if they're building a business, no matter if they're making new friends, no matter whatever it is, when you're getting out of your comfort zone, right? Going away from what you know, things like this pop up like every time. It doesn't matter if it's business, if it's relationships, if it's a new job, if it's whatever. All this stuff is going to pop up. So
I want to talk into this because when I have something go wrong in another area of my life, it'll undoubtedly bleed over into my business. And yesterday, my day was completely hijacked. Like I had so much that I wanted to get done. It was all planned. And then shit happened. Okay. I'm not going to say what happened, but shit happened. And literally my day got completely hijacked. Now, I could choose to let that let that overwhelm come and kick in and say, like, when am I going to get all this shit done? Because I had all this, like this list of things that, okay, it was all planned. I was going to get it done. It was in my calendar, going to get it done, and nothing got done. And for me, it's choosing what I'm going to give my energy to. So am I going to give my energy to what happened and the conversations that happened that ended up hijacking my day? Am I going to give my energy to that? Because that'll just make me feel worse. It'll literally suck the life out of me. Or am I going to thank myself for saying, okay, it's fine. I got this. I've got another day that I can do this. It'll be okay. Trusting that it'll be okay. And it's like when shit happens in other areas of your life, is, for example, if there is somebody that like fuels that self-doubt in you, if there's somebody who brings you down, if there's somebody who doesn't believe in you and, mocks you or laughs at you for like, you doing what? Okay. You choose whether you're going to give them, and either you cut them out of your life, or if they're family and you can't cut them out of your life, you decide, okay, I know that that's what they're going to say, and I'm not going to give my energy to that.
how much access are they going to have to my emotional well-being?
Yeah, that's not going to affect me. That I'm not going to give my energy to that. I'm going to love them and appreciate them for being there and for trying to protect me, because that's all they know. That's all they know. And all they're doing is loving you and trying to protect you. But I got this. And it's just becoming aware of these things that might be happening in your life, and then finding a way to navigate through them so that it doesn't bleed into the rest of your life, so that, you don't completely shut down for another week because all this shit happened.
Yeah. Brandy and I call it, oh, sorry. I just want to say, Brandy and I call it picking up somebody else's monkeys.
Yeah, don't pick up their monkeys.
Yeah.
If it's not your circus, they're not your monkeys. You do not, and you should not.
And sometimes they are your circus and your monkeys, and you pretty well don't want to be picking up those monkeys anyway.
Yep. And that's how we've started to name and label it. It makes it funny to us. We're just like, not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not picking up your monkeys. I'm not picking up their monkeys, right? Like, because how many monkeys can you really have on your back before you can no longer?
Well, and those of us that are fixers, this is really hard because I'm a fixer. Like, let's be honest. Like, I'm a straight up fixer. Like, if there's a problem, I'm in. Let's fix that deal and let's move on, right? Sometimes it's not my problem. You gotta be aware of whose problem is whose, right? Like with my son, for instance, right? He's almost 15, and I've been babying him with this whole middle school thing for months and months and months and years. Actually, this is the 3rd year in middle school, and this year I was like, okay, what might I do differently to help him grow into being more responsible? Well, guess what? It's me stopping the helicopter parenting. That's what has to happen for him to be more responsible. If he doesn't give a crap about his grades, neither should I. Because does it affect me? No, actually, it doesn't. Those are his choices, right? And guess what happened? The instant I said, listen, Ridge, you are old enough. You have responsibility. You're almost 15. It's no longer my job to make sure all these assignments are done. I said, whose job do you think this might be? He said, mine. I said, is this important to you to have good grades and to do your best and to not that you need to be a straight A, 4.0 student or anything, right? No. But to do your best, is that important that you give your best to, what you have to be? He's like, well, I hate school. I said, everybody hates school. It isn't the most funnest thing we've ever done, right? But is it important to do the assignments and to do your best regardless of, if you love it or hate it? And he said, yes. Well, guess what? Came home yesterday and I said, how's the grades going? I'm on it, Mom. I got it handled. I've got it handled. I'm getting all B's and A's. Everything's great. And I was like, holy crap. I should take my advice more often.
Well, here's the thing. When you're a fixer and you have your own problems handled, your brain will start saying,
it's a loop.
Wait,
you got to start fixing somebody.
I need to fix something else. Like, I need to find something else to fix.
I need to find something else to fix, right? And so we start going and trying. And Brandy's, that's like perfect awareness of what might I do differently to help not just me, because it's not my problem, but help him as well. And look, it was fixed. And now she's able to step back. Like, he was able to fix it himself, right?
I don't have the stress of worrying about, oh my gosh, did he do his assignment today? Did he actually do his math? I started asking myself, okay, I hate math. I don't even know how to do the math they do now. Let's be honest. They don't even do math.
They do it completely
different. It's all different.
Yeah. So I have to call
Mary the one. That's what I told Kate. And he was like,
and I'd be like, Sydney, I don't know how to do this math. I got an A. I was a 4.0 student, right? I'm like, I don't even know how to do this algebra anymore. And when I do it the way I was taught how to do it, it's wrong. I get the right answer, but then he gets it wrong because the problem's wrong, right? And Sydney's like, Mom, did you know there's an app you can get that walks you through each piece? Because every day I'm freaking calling Sydney. How do we do this math? And she's like, what might you do differently, Mom? This is making me crazy. I got to lie. I can't do math when, Ridge is failing math. So I bought the app, right? And then I had to Ridge the app. I didn't put the app on my phone. I said, here's the app. This is going to show you step by step how to do each problem. And guess what? Holy crap. Ridge is getting a B in math. Because now he understands and can break it down piece by piece. And he's not looking or searching, who do I find that's going to help me do this? He knows he has a resource he can go to walk him through the process. Now, of course, I've told him, you can't use the app for the test. Come on, right? You've got to be able to learn and grow in the process. So, we had to learn a little bit of, you can't be cheating with the app. You use the app, check your answers, and learn, the process, right? Same thing that we're doing here. We have to learn the process of how to get out of these loops. So
I'm going to need the link to that app.
yeah, you are. I'm going to give you the app.
Who else needs the link to that app?
Awesome.
Like,
So let us know. Sorry.
No, I was just about to say, Kateson brought his math home the other day, and I was like, you need to carry the one. He's all like, what is carry the one? He's like,
Yeah.
Mom, I don't do that. And then he's calling Dad over. He's like, he's like, Dad, Mom's trying to make me fail math. Like, I'm like, I just don't help.
I mean, so when I was at school, it was a lot longer ago than when you were at school, Carrie. And I remember when Rob first came home with maths, and I said, okay, I know how to do this. Like, I was good at maths. And I said, I know how to do this. And she said, don't do it like that, Mum. And she's 31 now.
She got it all wrong, right?
She flew. I mean, she went to do she's a civil engineer. So, yeah, it changes all the time.
Yeah, you gotta look outside the box though and look for those resources. Like, what might you do to get out of the loop, right? And it's not just in business, but it's also in your relationships, right? It's all because we have these dynamic relationships with different people, right? And so, it's just kind of funny when you start to recognize. In the last couple of years, I've learned more about myself than I have in the first 45 years that I did before.
Who knows the math, right? Who knows about the math?
And it's really hard when you're an entrepreneur and your kids are like entrepreneurial spirited, because Ridge literally is like, listen, Mom, like, there's no reason for me to even do school. And he's totally right. Like,
That's Kate's kid.
Argue. Like,
That's
he's
Kate's
totally right. Like, I'm
like he brings everything home, and he's like, Mom, when am I really going to use this? I'm
Yeah.
like,
Never.
I'm like,
smart little buggers.
know how to read, know how to write, know your arithmetic. That's pretty much all that he needs.
I remember teachers telling us this. You're not going to have a calculator in your hand. Well, guess what?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
So it's really hard to, and these kids, they're just made differently. They're made to question. And that's obvious, that's a really great thing, right? We don't need these simulators. We need people that are going to challenge the norm, right? So being a parent of people and yourself, when you're parenting yourself, it's hard because you are not normal. Definitely not normal. So when you got this entrepreneurial questions in your mind. So
I guess to kind of like wrap up, the self-sabotage conversation, it's first off, you need to recognize and become aware of what is it in your life that you're able to name and label, whether it's, I'm falling into perfectionism, and this stems from whatever happened in your past, fear of judgment, fear of failure. That's the feelings that I had. Now I'm a perfectionist, and it causes my self-sabotage. When you become aware of whatever it is in your life, right, that is causing the self-sabotage, we then need to be able to notice that we're aware. And when we are able to name and label whatever that thing is, that's us noticing that we're aware of our problem. And just like Kat said, we're not falling into negativity around it. We're being grateful that we're human and our brains are keeping us safe. And we're going to ask ourselves, just like Brandy had said, what might I do differently? What process might I put in place to be able to move through this, right?
And at the right now, because the right now matters.
Yes, right now. If you find yourself doing laundry and procrastinating the thing that you need to be doing, what might I do differently right now, right? What might I do specifically right now to move through this? And it has to be an action. For Fran, she's all I have dropped
doing laundry, just so you know.
Yeah, and it's not doing laundry. For Fran, it's, I'm dropping everything. I need to go clear my head. I'm going to go meditate. For me, it's actually physically, because it's the procrastination. It's what might I do differently? I take a deep breath and I go and I look at that list of things that I have to get done. And I say, what's the first thing that I might take action on?
That's what
you have to get into action, right? There was a student that we worked with several workshops ago in our 7-figure influencer community. For her, it was literally, she's like, I'm going to do jumping jacks. And she felt so silly at first doing the jumping jacks in front of everybody. But that was the process that she knew she needed to do, where I'm going to do a jumping jack, right? Because for her, it was the perfectionism, and I'm doing a jumping jack. Doing that action helped her be able to sit down, completely different headspace, because she got her body moving.
And
she
Kat,
was
what's
able
that you call
to
that?
move forward.
What your mind forgets, your body remembers. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I want to share a very simple, but it's like $1 million hack that all successful entrepreneurs use it. But like, we don't share much about it because it seems so silly. So if you guys noticed, all the self-sabotage is usually triggered by emotion, whatever, it's different for everyone. So it's emotional process. But in order for us even to be able to ask ourselves question, what can I do differently? Some people can't even do this because they don't know how to control their own emotions. And what Fran said, she need to go to meditate. It's simply going and regulate your nervous system. You're not going to be able to make a rational decision or overcome anything when you are in that emotion of lack, fear, whatever, perfectionism, procrastination, because you will be constantly feeding that emotion and going deeper into
the spiral.
So in order to get out of that emotional loop or spiral, we have to simply know how to regulate our nervous system and bring it back to that, they call it homeostasis, whatever it is. For a friend that's going to meditate, for someone that's going to the gym, for someone that's going on a walk, for someone that's just simply distract the pattern and do jumpy jacks. So whatever it is for you, figure out what you can do when you notice you spiraling into that emotion. What can you do to step out and regulate your nervous system? And sometimes it's just taking a couple of deep breaths, as simple as that. And once you do that, you will notice you can think more clear. You can ask yourself that question, what can I do differently? That's when you're going to be more aware, when your nervous system is calm or calmer, at least.
Which is a really good point.
So it's a very important thing. And you can apply it in any area of your life, right? Not just in the business, in the relationships, dealing with kids, dealing with traffic in the morning, and everything. And you will notice how, when you learn how to regulate your nervous system, you will make better decisions. You will not fall into the fear or procrastination because you will be better at analyzing those things and being aware and making better decisions. So this is like literally so silly. We shouldn't know how to do it, right? But we just don't. We keep spiraling into those emotions. It's very simple. And I swear, all the millionaires and billionaires, they know how to do it. Because honestly, life is happening all the time. When you're going to start making more money, people think, oh, I'm not going to have all my problems. Guess what? Your bills, you're going to be getting more bills. And they're not going to be like, oh, $300 here, $50 here. There will be $300,000 here, $300 million here. And if you don't know how to regulate your nervous system, you'll be like, holy whatever word comes out of your mouth, right? You're not going to be able to handle it emotionally. But you're training your body little by little to deal with life because it never stops. And if you have to stop completely building your business because life happens, right? It's going to be really challenging because life will be happening all the time on the bigger scale, the more massive problems, the more bigger, whatever, everything. But because you know how to regulate your nervous system, bring it back to homeostasis, you're like, oh, okay, $300,000 bill. What can I do differently next time?
So let us know what your biggest takeaway was for today. Thank you, those of us who were able to join us live, and for the engagement, right? Like when we get engagement, it feeds and fuels the conversation. We absolutely love it. Let us know what your biggest takeaway was, regardless if you were live or not. Maybe you're watching the replay, and plan to join us next week at this same time for our next episode of Unleash Your Inner Badass. See you, everybody.
Bye.